perfect stranger, about to be born into darkness, sadness, desperate madness, creation so torn. We were so lost on earth, no peace, no worth, nowhere to escape. There's fear, no faith, no hope, no grace, a new life, but that was the night before Christmas. Warm hate, cold sweat, a mother not yet, praying Godspeed dawn. She looks to her man, holding her hand. They wonder how long. And the shepherds, wise men, come to find them and bow to a king. One star above, shining on love, so bright, lit up the night before Christmas. Then the world didn't know mercy was made so mild. Then the world didn't know the truth was as pure as a child. The night before Christmas, the night before Christmas. Redemption sweet, so strong. And the world didn't know salvation was burning so. The night before Christmas, the night before Christmas, the night before Christmas. Empty manger, perfect stranger, about to be born.
Every year, as the anticipation of Christmas draws near, we pull out all of our decorations. Christmas trees go up, presents get wrapped, and somewhere tucked down in a box, we pull out our nativity scenes and set them up in that same spot. It may have become routine to take out those tiny ordnance figurines, dust them off, and display them. They properly sit in a place that's in plain sight, yet we tend to walk by it every day as if it's some other secular Christmas decoration. Have you ever taken a moment to study that picture-perfect scene? Have you ever wondered about the stories that each of those tiny figurines might hold? This looks like a modest nativity scene, complete with all the main characters to the story, but each of them have a different outlook on what took place, some of which you may have never heard, and come that you may not have ever considered.
And there were the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. The glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid, and the angel said unto them, behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly hosts praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
You know me, my name is Joseph, but there's a lot more to my story than most people ever realize. Mary and I had known each other for years. Our families traveled from Judea to Galilee when we were both young to bring Judaism to those living in Galilee. I was several years older than Mary, but that was common in my day. I had always been fond of Mary, but when I came to think about marriage, I asked my father to seek to arrange a marriage with Mary. That's the way it was done in those days, but I really loved Mary. In our tradition, the engagement period lasted for up to a year. The announcement of the engagement was a public ceremony, which for all practical purposes was as binding as a marriage. During this time, we didn't live together, but I was known as Mary's husband, and she was known as my wife. Shortly after our engagement, Mary went to visit her relative Elizabeth, who was pregnant at the time. Mary was gone for 3 months. I missed her greatly, but when she returned, however, I was in for the shock of my life. Mary took me aside and explained to me that she was with child. I couldn't hear anything that she said. She was pregnant. I was furious. I was hurt. The truth is, I was crushed. Betrayed by the woman I loved. How could she do this to me? I went home and I couldn't sleep. My mind raced. I could not marry her. If she was unfaithful once, what could make me think that she would be faithful for the rest of our lives together? How could I possibly ever trust her again? I was torn. I had a couple of options. I could insist on a public divorce. It would be a great scandal. Her and her family would face the shame of the entire community. The problem was that I still loved her. As hurt as I was, I couldn't do it. It wasn't right. So I decided I would divorce her privately. It was a simple procedure, at least for me. Mary would still have to face the shame and ridicule of her pregnancy, but our relationship would be over. This course seemed to be the most gracious thing to do. By this time, I was exhausted. I hadn't slept for days trying to decide what to do. I had finally made a decision, so I lay down to rest. After falling asleep, I had a vision. God was speaking to me through an angel. The angel told me not to be afraid and to go ahead with my marriage plans to Mary. That Mary was not unfaithful, and that the child was placed there miraculously and would be the Son of God. You are to name him Jesus, he said, because he would save people from their sins. When I awoke, I was stunned and ashamed. I hadn't even asked Mary about the details. I never let her explain. I just assumed. Who wouldn't have? I blew it, and when I saw Mary, I told her what had happened, and I found out that her story was the same. We were both uncertain what it all meant, but we knew what God wanted us to do.
Surprise. a strange way to save the world. To think of how it could have been if Jesus had come as he deserved. There would have been no death, no lonely shepherds at his birth. But Joseph knew the reason love had to reach so far, and as he held the Savior in his arms, he must have thought, I'm just a simple man of trade. Why, with all the rulers in the world, inside this slave filled with him, why, she's just an ordinary girl. I'm not one to second guess what angels have to say. This is such a strange way to save the world. Second guess what angels have to say. This is such a strange way to save the world. This is such a strange way, such a strange way, a strange way to save the world.
I'm Andrew Barry. You know, this whole Christmas story really started with me, well, with me and God, of course. Most people don't think about how I feel. I was really nervous about the whole thing. I mean, the news that had to get Mary and Joseph was huge, world changing. I take my job very seriously. So when God told me what I had to do, I flew right down to find Mary and tell her about God's special gift. The surprise is going to get much bigger than this one. Mary looked excited and surprisingly calm about the whole thing. I think I was more nervous about it than she was. Just looking into her eyes that day, I could tell that she was going to be a great mother for God's son.
I may have heard my story before. You have seen me sitting here in the stable with my beautiful baby boy Jesus. You've probably even heard about the angel that I spoke with, who told me about my baby. I bet nobody has ever told you how difficult the journey was to get here. Not long after Joseph and I were married, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census would be taken and we must go back to Bethlehem. It was such a long trip. It took 5 days to make the journey. I was there any time, so we packed up most of our things. We figured we'd be staying in Bethlehem for a while. I rode the donkey while Joseph walked alongside me. We traveled day and night. My back was so sore, but I stayed strong because I knew what I was doing was very important. The best part of the journey was the time Joseph and I spent sharing stories. The world seemed so much simpler when we were children. I could barely remember all the stories as we traveled with the desert sun and the bright stars. I want to make sure that Jesus grows up to know our stories. I hope the world will be a simpler place for him as he grows up.
Hello, I am the person who owns this inn and this stable, and this is my wife. When this couple came looking for a place to stay, I couldn't just let them shiver in the street. I saw the mother laden with child. She was struggling to breathe while her husband ran desperately from end to end looking for a place to stay. Even though I was out of room, something tugged at my heart for this couple. I knew I had some room in my simple state. It wasn't much, but the extra warmth from the animals would help keep them warm through the night ahead. It's funny, but once I got them settled, I had the strangest sense of warmth myself. Maybe it's just because I was nice to them, but it was almost like a candle had been lit inside my heart. Come, darling, let's go back inside before you get cold.
I felt helpless as the day came, but Mary was great. I was so thankful to have a wife like her. When I first saw this child, the magnitude of the moment hit me. I counted his fingers, his toes, and then I cried. I don't know if it was because of the beauty of the birth or because of its significance. The long-awaited Savior had come. I wanted to tell the world, but I knew no one would believe me. I didn't really know what to tell them. Suddenly, I was filled with apprehension. How was one trained and raised in the South? I was a poor man, a common carpenter. I reminded myself that God would provide. He would show us what we should do.
As I looked down at my beautiful baby boy, I wondered what his life would hold. In that moment, I knew I wanted to keep him safe forever. I saw them pray to God to give me strength.
Everything inside me cries for order. Everything inside me wants to hide. Is the shadow an angel or a warrior? If God is pleased with me, why am I so terrified? Someone tell me I'm only dreaming. Somehow help me see heaven died. And before my head breathes, my heart is on its knees. Holy is He, blessed am I, be trembling heart, somehow I believe that you chose me. I hold you in the beginning, you will hold me in the end. Every moment in the middle, make my heart your Bethlehem, be born in me. All this time I've waited for the promise. All this time I've waited for my arms. Did you wrap yourself inside the unexpected? So we may know that love would go that far. Be born in me. Trembling heart, somehow I believe that you chose me. I hold
We have walked long and far today. My robes are even brown and filthy from all the dust we have kicked up from our feet. I am a shepherd. Have you ever felt pulled to a place? Normally we would push and pull sheep where we want them to go. But tonight, we're the ones getting pulled. Here we were, just guarding our sheep, when this light burst out of nowhere and turns to darkness to daylight.
We heard this loud voice tell us that God is going to walk among us, that a Savior had been born to us, a Savior born just for us. He was even supposed to be some sort of shepherd himself one day. You hear that kind of exciting news, and you bet we hurried in town to find this Emmanuel. We found this baby lying in a manger inside the stable. Not really where you'd expect to find the baby, but he's just lying there, not crying, not scaring animals, just lying there like a little prince of peace.
I know you don't see me in nativity scenes much. I usually have a very lonely job. Just me and the animals. I mostly keep to myself. I'm really kind of shy. Even now, I'm hiding here in the window behind Mary. I'm the stable keeper, and it's my job to keep this stable clean and all of the animals inside the stable very happy. People don't stop and talk to me very often. I didn't even hear my boss offer the stable to Mary and Joseph. In fact, I was just finishing up my chores for the night when they came inside. Nearly scared me to death. So I scrambled quickly to hide behind a wall and find out who these strangers were. I don't think they even heard me. They were moving really fast to get Mary comfortable so that she could have the baby. I know they look calm and collected now, but believe me, there was a lot going on a little while ago. I didn't want to scare them, so I waited until the baby got wrapped up in swaddling clothes and asleep before I came out and asked the baby if I could give him anything. Oh, the baby just looked so small and fragile. I wanted to reach out and touch him, but I was afraid. His mom said it was okay, so I reached out with my finger and brushed the back of his soft hand. Just as I did, he clenched around my finger. I felt like I should be holding him, but he was the one holding me. It felt like that moment lasted forever. After I brought Joseph and Mary warm things to drink, Joseph told me about what the angel had told him about their baby's life. They told me that his name was Jesus. I'm going to remember that day for a long, long time. I'm so lucky that they came to my stable, and I'm so lucky the baby Jesus held my hand. Even though you don't hear about me too much, I'm so thankful I got to be there for the first Christmas.
Just look at that perfect picture of the place where Jesus was born. From up here, I can see everything that's happening. Everyone who makes up this simple scene will help the world to understand who Jesus is and will be. The people who walk in darkness have seen a great light. Those who live in the land of darkness, on them a light has shined. For a child has been born this day, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. His His authority shall grow continually, and there shall be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. He will establish and uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time onward and forever.
Little town of Bethlehem looks like another Saturday night. Above your deep and dreamless sleep, a giant star lights up the sky. And while you lie in the dark, there shines an everlasting light. For the King has left his throne and is sleeping in a manger tonight. Oh Bethlehem, what you missed while you were sleeping? For God became a man and stepped into your world today. Oh Bethlehem, you will go down in history as a city with no room for its king. While you were sleeping, while you were sleeping, Mary shivers in the cold, trying to keep the Savior warm. Born among the animals, wrapped in dirty rags, because there was no room for him in the world he came to save. Oh Bethlehem, what you missed while you were sleeping? God became a man and stepped into your world today. Oh Bethlehem, we will go down in history as a city with no room for its king. While you were sleeping, while you were sleeping, United States of America looks like another Saturday night. As we're sung to sleep by philosophies that save the trees and kill the children. And while we're lying in the dark, there's a shout across the eastern sky. For the bridegroom has returned and is carrying his bride away in the night. United States of America looks like another Saturday night.
The events that have been depicted tonight, they were planned at the very foundation of His plan. All the way back at the beginning of time, God knew that this would take place. You know, the prophet Micah, several hundred years before this event happened, he got a word from the Lord and he said, "O Bethlehem Ephratah," he said, "though thou be so little among the thousands of Judah," he said, "out of thee would come forth a ruler of Israel, and his going forth shall be from old to everlasting." You see, in those days, we were waiting on Christ. You know, we were in a fallen state. But at this event right here, it became to be that Christ is waiting on us. You see, He parted us 2,000 years ago when He robed Himself in flesh, made Himself a man, suffered and died on the cross. But you know, from that point forward, He demands a decision out of us. I'll ask you tonight, if you would examine yourself. Paul said, "Let a man examine himself." Are you waiting on Christ? Is He waiting on you? Make that decision tonight if you have not done so. So let us pray. Father, tonight, Lord, we thank You for that Bethlehem statement. Lord, we know in those days all eyes were on that little village, Lord, that little city that You had ordained since the foundation of this world. Lord, we know out of that little city came the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Lord, we know that You are the great, the almighty, that I am, the first and the last, the bright and the morning star, the rose of Sharon, the lily of the valley, the fairest among 10,000. Father, I ask that if there's anyone in this building, Lord, that has no knowledge of You, Father, I ask that You would deal with the heart tonight. Lord, that they would make a decision before it's too late. Lord, as we're in this season to worship the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Father, we thank You for what You've done in this little Bethlehem stadium. Father, there's nothing tonight that we can say, nothing that we can do can replace all the things that You did in Your short time on this planet. Father, we'll be careful tonight. Everything that's said by these young people, everything that's done, Lord, it's not us. Lord, it's You. Father, we'll give You the glory as we magnify the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. We ask these things in